Tonight on the Mike Tomlin Show, Coach talks about some of the advice he's giving Devlin Hodges before possibly making his first NFL start. We give you sideline access to last week's game with some incredible highlights, and the Steelers hit the runway for a great cause. All of that and so much more as the Mike Tomlin Show starts right now.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missi Matthews. Although the Steelers are down, by no means are they out. Here's a current look at the AFC North standings. Luckily for Pittsburgh, the division is having a rough go of it after 5 weeks. Tomorrow, the Ravens host the Bengals, and the Browns welcome Russell Wilson and the 4-1 Seahawks to Northern Ohio. However, the Steelers can't control what happens elsewhere, so they're squarely focused on the task at hand, a trip across the country to Los Angeles to play the Chargers and hopefully start digging themselves out of their hole. But they'll have to do it with quarterback Devlin "Duck" Hodges at the helm after Mason Rudolph's scary injury from last week will keep him from starting tomorrow night. Let's send it over to Bob Pompeani, who's with Coach Tomlin, to talk about Rudolph, Duck, and last week's heartbreaker to the Ravens. Bob?
Missi, thanks very much. Lots to get into this week as the Steelers get set for a trip out west to the Chargers. Head coach Mike Tomlin talked first of all about Mason Rudolph, because that was one of those hits that everyone in the stadium took a breath and had to wait. I'm sure you did too after going through what we saw with Ryan Shazier, but everything seems to be okay. What's his status for this weekend?
You know, he's feeling better, which is a good thing. He's obviously still in the protocol, and we're going to lean on the medical experts in that regard in terms of availability and when it's good for him to get back to participation. But more than anything, like everybody else, we're just glad that he's physically okay. It was a scary moment, and from time to time you have those scary moments, unfortunately, in the game of football and in life. And so it's good to be on the other side of it.
Devlin Hodges forced into play, but he looked cool as a cucumber out there. And I know you liked him ever since training camp as a staff. Why is he able to handle the situation if he's called upon? Because
he's the same guy regardless of circumstance. Those are the things that are attracted to us in training camp and in preseason stadiums. And it proved to be true in a regular season stadium. He has a way about him that the moments aren't too big.
The overtime decision to defer. As it turned out, your logic turned out to be exactly what happened. But did you think about taking the ball only because a guy like Lamar Jackson can end it very quickly?
Just by the flow of the game, who we had in the game at quarterback, the way that the defense was playing largely, I felt comfortable taking that calculated risk and giving them the ball first and playing the field position battle from that perspective. You also got to weigh Tucker into that equation. His kickoffs throughout the game were extraordinary. He was putting the ball at the goal line or at the 1 or 2 yard line with 4.5 or so, or 4.7, I think in one instance, hang time. And that's why we're having a tough time establishing a kickoff return. I mean, they were tackling us inside the 15 in the kickoff return game. I know it was unorthodox, but we play to win. We don't live in our fears, and no second guessing there.
You said game-changing plays. Your defense has filled up the stat box with those kinds of things this year. A lot more turnovers, sacks. Overall, how would you assess what they did containing Lamar Jackson for the most part, and 3 picks to your credit?
You know, we did some really good things. I thought we warmed up to it, and I knew it was a potential of that. Our first extended action in a stadium with him, where he's a starting quarterback and you're looking at him down in and down out, just recalibrating and adjusting to the legitimate speed that he brings, I thought took us a while, and I thought that we lost some field position and maybe even some points because of it. At the very early stages of the game, we had him sacked several times and he got out, and it just can't happen. And I thought we settled in and really got an awareness about his talents, and were able to contain him and pressure him better as the game wore on. Hopefully, as we move forward, those experiences being in the stadium with him will carry over, and it won't take so long next time to to really get acclimated to his style of play and what he brings.
Next up, a trip out west. Once again, it is the Los Angeles Chargers. When we come back, Coach Tomlin will break down that team. They're coming off a loss to Denver. We'll do it when we come back here to our studio. Missy, back over to you.
Thanks, Bob. And just to put some numbers to the resurgence of the defense, the Steelers have forced a league-best 10 turnovers, recorded 14 sacks, 26 quarterback hits, and 17 passes defensed over the last 3 games. Coming up next, last week's loss to the Ravens had a lot of highs and a lot of lows. We have all of the dramatic highlights.
It looks like it's developing into a barn burner.
You've probably seen the broadcast highlights from last week's game, but I can guarantee you have not seen our cinematic highlights with the access that we have. So tonight I present the sights and sounds of Steelers versus Ravens.
The two teams that have dominated the division since its creation had a new look for the 2019 edition. The new for the Ravens came in the way of quarterback Lamar Jackson. The second-year man was attacking the Steelers with his arm and legs.
Pass is complete for the first down. Gets the snap, keeps it, gets to the 15, gets to the 10, and is knocked out of bounds far sideline with a 1st and goal. The ball is down. The kick by Tucker is up, and Baltimore draws first blood. Wildcat package shown by the Steelers, and he's going to fake it. He's going to dump it in the flat, and it's intercepted. And they run it to the left, and plowing to the goal line for the touchdown is Mark Ingram.
The Ravens jumped out to an early 10-0 lead, a deficit the Steelers looked to chip away at.
Hey, that pass is complete to James Washington, and it's near midfield. And the give is off the left side to James Conner, downhill inside the 45. They pick up the blitz. Pass is going to be caught at the 20, at the 15, the 10. That is Juju Smith-Schuster getting away for the touchdown. 35 yards, right over the middle, right to left. It looks like it's developing into a barn burner. He fires it for the end zone, and in the end zone it is caught for a touchdown, and that is Marquise Brown.
Second down and long. Jackson, oh, it's intercepted. Jackson laid it right out there for Mike Hilton. And the Steelers take over with 33 seconds left in the first half.
He does not see Hilton coming from the inside to pick up his first pick of the season.
And he knocks it through from 29 yards out to inch a little closer at the break.
10th overall pick Devin Bush was in the middle of his first matchup with the Ravens. He wouldn't miss the opportunity to make his own mark.
Back is Lamar Jackson with a shotgun snap, throws it down the seam. There's a leaping grab at the 15-yard line. It's picked off. Another interception. This by Devin Bush, the rookie out of Michigan.
Devin Bush just took it away.
Rudolph is back there. He starts out of the pocket, escapes, throws it to a wide open man, first down. That is James Washington running up the field. He's across the 30, across the 35, and we have an injured Steeler behind the play. And this appears to be serious. He's up and moving.
Praise God that he's up and walking.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. He's got all his buddies around him.
Yeah.
BJ and Zach Banner are helping him off.
After a scary moment, the Steelers turned to their third-string quarterback, Devlin Hodges, to continue the comeback.
Bootleg left, dumps it in the flat. That's Vance McDonald. Turning to the goal line and not quite making it. Driving for the end zone is James Conner for the touchdown that puts the Steelers ahead. Tucker's kick is on its way. That kick is up, and that kick is good. 23-23.
We're going to go into overtime.
The Steelers have elected to kick it off.
His belief in his defense had to be the overriding factor.
You want to be great? You want to be great? Let's go finish the moment. Let's go.
He's going to be hit near the line of scrimmage. Step on to it. Knocked him down. He's scampered. He's down back at the 20-yard line. Bud Dupree was on the scene.
And Andrews is brought down. Well, right now the strategy is paying off for Mike Tomlin.
As quickly as you can gain momentum, it can be taken away just as fast.
Hits his man. Juju Smith-Schuster, the ball got lodged loose. Fight for it. The Ravens have it with Marlon Humphrey. And the kick is good. Ravens win.
It's painful, as it should be. Tough, hard-fought game. We won't make excuses for our current state. We won't seek sympathy. We're professionals. We're capable of enduring it. We better get prepared for our next opportunity in the midst of it.
Up next, it's back to the West Coast for the Steelers as they take on Phillip Rivers and the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Bob and Coach give us a preview. Don't go anywhere. I know it was just last year you faced the Chargers, not the outcome that you definitely wanted, but what has changed about them or what has not changed in terms of their offense?
Well, Phillip Rivers is still a quarterback, so that did a change. I think, offensively, these guys got, big-time playmaking ability. They got, a really good receiver. They got, two good running backs, especially one of them that just came along that's doing really well. I think they got Melvin Gordon back, too, now. So, these guys got some playmakers on their side of the ball that we got to make sure we stop. I think they also got Watt brother, too, a fullback. So, it'd be nice to go against him and give him a couple blows.
Did TJ tell you to say that?
No, I think we all just saying it to see what
You're
happens.
saying it in your heads.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber. Are you 84 material? Visit 84lumber.com/careers to learn more.
Well, you just heard defensive end Stephon Tuitt talk about the Chargers' offensive attack that's led by future Hall of Fame quarterback and Ben Roethlisberger's draft classmate, Phillip Rivers. When Rivers isn't hitting wide receiver Keenan Allen for big chunk plays, he's going to hand it off to a two-time Pro Bowler and running back Melvin Gordon, who ended his holdout last week against the Broncos. That other running back that Tuitt referenced was Austin Eckler, who did an admirable job filling in during Gordon's absence and looks to be a weapon that the Chargers will continue to use. Let's send it back over to Bob and Coach, who will give us a detailed scouting report on the LA Chargers.
Thanks, Missy. We appreciate that. And next up, it's the Chargers. A very big game, of course, considering where the Steelers reside in the standings. And for them, it's also big at 2-3. This is an interesting team right now. Melvin Gordon decided to take the Le'Veon Bell route and didn't show up, but he eventually did. He off to a slow start, but Austin Eckler is making it a lot easier to not have him around. I thought he's been terrific so far.
Eckler has been terrific. Oftentimes when you're in those scenarios, it's more difficult to reinfuse a guy like Gordon than it actually is to proceed without him. You've been through training camp without him. You've been through team development without him, and they've gotten quality contributions and an established division of labor from others. You probably take a little step back as you work to infuse even the talent into the mix, and I imagine they'll be better at it this week than they were last week.
Last year, Chargers came here and pretty much had their way with your defense. I know players have changed. Schematically, how do you slow down Phil Rivers, especially when you're talking about Keenan Allen?
Yeah, last year I think we were really limited in terms of the guys that were available to us, particularly in our sub-package things. I think Morgan Burnett and some others were down. I think it was the first game that Marcus Allen played in, and so we're really limited in terms of our sub-packaging. And as the game wore on, they became aware of that, and they did what they needed to do in terms of moving Keenan Allen around. And getting him in favorable matchups. Really, we're built very differently, and we have a lot more depth, not only in terms of our sub-package personnel groups with the availability of Cam Sutton and Mike Hilton, but also just with the nature of our linebacker play with guys like Mark Barron and Devin Bush, who are much more depth playing against athletes and in space, either because of pedigree or because of experience in Mark Barron's case, a former safety. We have more of those like body types available to us for those matchup purposes that really keep us out of some of the harm's way that we were in a year ago.
We saw Nick Bosa, now Joey Bosa. Talk about this defense, specifically in regard to, you have a young quarterback now who has to go up against it. What are your concerns about them and also how he carries out a game plan?
You mentioned Bosa, and I think it starts with Bosa and Ingram, their quality edge rush tandem. They're really good at what they do. They're good off the edge. They're great rushers, both of them. Have gotten a chance to get to know those guys over the years, got a lot of respect for them. But we were just mentioning sub-package defenses, and boy, they got really multiple sub-package defensing, and particularly on possession downs in terms of the things that they're able to throw at a quarterback. So if you talk about what concerns you in terms of quarterback inexperience, the rush tandem coupled with the sub-packaging that allows them to be very versatile on possession downs is a concern.
Is Devlin's ability to move around helpful with that regard?
It is. I've been cautioning Duck about his mobility. It's pretty solid on a college field. It's less so on a professional field, and I'll continue to sing that song.
That's good advice for a young quarterback, no doubt. We have more coming up with head coach Mike Tomlin, including something different at the fashion show that we saw this past week. Missy, we'll talk about that when we come back.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. And this matchup with the Chargers was supposed to be a fun game for twin brothers Marquise and Mike Pouncey, but they won't have the chance to take the field together as Mike Pouncey was placed on season-ending IR earlier this week by LA. The linebacker TJ Watt will still have a chance to tackle his older brother Derek, who is a fullback for the Chargers. Up next, the Steelers get dressed to the nines and hit the runway for a great cause. It was fashion at its finest last week when the Steelers players and their families hit the runway at Rock Steelers Style 2019, the team's annual fashion show. The evening put fashion at the forefront, but there was a lot more meaning to it. All proceeds benefited the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program and the Cancer Caring Center, two charities that have a long-standing relationship with the Steelers. And for the players, being able to mix fashion and giving back to the community is the perfect combination. Check it out.
It's a great event. I can't thank Mr. and Mrs. Rooney enough for the support of our UPMC concussion program. Mrs. Rooney does an amazing job with this. It's so well choreographed. I have my family with me. It's such a fun night, and it's a great evening for Pittsburgh. It's really nice to be here.
Your outfits, tell me about them.
My outfit's designed by Coach Tomlin. You'll see many of these on stage tonight, but this is a one of a kind, and I'm proudly wearing it.
Well, I picked out my tie, which is the most important part. I found my best Steeler tie for tonight.
Greta, the theme this year is Take the Stage. Explain, I guess, the vision and what we could potentially see tonight.
You'll see our players take the stage with a little surprise or two, doing a little lip sync, a little reveal. You'll be shocked when you see how they've transformed onto the stage.
What we can expect from you this year?
A nice, smooth vibe. Definitely out there having a good time with my fellas, with my brothers out there, just having a good time, enjoying ourselves.
Who would you say is the best dressed on this team?
You got Joe Hayden, a lot of guys in the DB room. We're nice, smooth. I think we have the most swag overall.
I go with DBs or wide receivers. It's a little bit of both. I like us though, but wide receivers also like to dress too.
Who is the best dressed on this team not named Joe Hayden?
James Conner.
Joe Hayden said that besides him, you would be one of the best dressed on the team. Do you agree?
Yeah, Joe's definitely in first place, so I agree with him on that. I do a little something, but not like Joe.
Time to announce the winners of the Swag Award, and for the Swag kids, it goes to Alawalu's kids.
And our Player Swag Award winner, I think everybody guessed it, number 72, the man, the myth, the legend, Zach Banner.
Well, what a fun and successful night it was. A well-deserved congratulations to Greta Rooney and Coach Tomlin, who put tons of work into making Rock Steelers Style what it is. And Bob, Coach Tomlin could not make it this year because he was out at a high school football game watching his son play. So I think he needs to see some of what maybe his players were up to that was a little different this year at the fashion show.
Hey, Missi, the fashion show, as you've detailed, was a big success again over at Stage AE. So, Mike Tomlin, I know you had some commitments and you weren't there. Your wife and Greta did a fabulous job, as always. But you missed something new. There was a lip syncing competition going on, which involves some of your players. And I want to show you one in particular, just because I think you'd get a kick out of it. Zach Banner. He stole the show.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
So a little flash dance activity there. Did you like it?
I did, not that I'm surprised. I know Zach Banner.
But that brings out the best of these guys, a little competition too. There were others who did it.
These guys are competitors just about in any situation you put them in. And, you know, we've learned that over the years through a variety of activities. You take them to Top Golf, they get ridiculously competitive. You take them to Dave & Buster's, they get ridiculously competitive. You know, you put anything in front of them, pool, whatever, and so that's no different.
Well, that was a big success. Zach Banner, congratulations for winning the lip syncing too. You did it. He even brought his own wig and everything else. He took it to a different level. And the Steelers hope to do that tomorrow night on Sunday Night Football. It's the Steelers and the Chargers. We have pregame show tomorrow morning, KDK 11:30. Join us for that. So that's going to do it for our show. Coach, thanks very much. All the best.
Thank you.
Mike Tomlin Show every Saturday night. For Missi Matthews and head coach Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great game day, and we'll see you next Saturday night right here.